I've been playing a bunch of Deadlock and it's been fun, but something's bugging me. Don't get me wrong, I'm having a great time, but the games can just get really long.
That's quite big.
Sometimes I find games that just get into a stalemate and it's not moving forward, and I think this is what contributes to games being really long.
Actually, if you push with your team and not just go for kills, games would be much shorter.
Timmy, shut up. While there are games that do end quickly, and this is not always the case, and getting into games does feel like a big commitment, and I do find myself wanting to do something else and just wait for the game to end. And I think there's an opportunity for Valve to fill this gaping butthole of a void. Now, stick with me here because this is going to get crazy. What if we have game modes that don't run as long?
You're a goddamn genius.
Thank you. Thank you. My big brain is here to grace you once again. You can call this copium when I'm feeding, as games are always more fun when you are in control and you can just dumpster on any enemy you see. But that's besides the point. Again, I understand that this is on alpha, beta, I don't know at this point. Deadlock just keeps getting updates pretty fast, really. But I think Valve can consider adding new game modes that have faster runtimes for quick games if players do not have the time to sit down for a full game of Deadlock. Now, why am I rambling on about this? Well, not everyone is going to have the time to jump into a full game, and it is fully understandable. You have things to do and you should be doing the things you need to do first because responsibilities. You may have a full-time job, you may have a family, people are relying on you, and people are busy. And I think it's a waste of a game if people cannot experience Deadlock because of said responsibilities that they have to do due to the potential for games to go way too long. At some point, I hope Valve puts out other game modes for Deadlock. We already have the sweats for the full Deadlock game experience, and I think the system made for Deadlock is flexible enough and has the potential for other types of game modes. This can welcome a more casual audience who may have enough time to shoot some baddies for 10 minutes and get back to whatever they need to do. I think if they successfully implement this could help the longevity of Deadlock. I know I wouldn't have played games like Smite for as long as I did without certain game modes, which I'll talk about later. So what are the game modes we can consider for Deadlock? Turbo mode from Dota 2 is the first natural step they can branch out to more casual game modes. For those who don't know, Turbo mode is Dota played on fast forward. You gain gold and XP faster, and games typically end on the 10 to 15 minute mark. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is a great way to just get some games in and try heroes you're not familiar with in a low stakes environment. As I mentioned earlier, there's a game mode from Smite that I really enjoyed, and I would say spent most of my time in Smite. That game mode is called Arena. The way it works is that players will play in a circular arena. Each team will have 500, let's just call it life points. There is one creep wave from each side that each team will have to push, and if any creeps enter the opponent's spawn points, they will lose 1 life point. Getting kills on the opposing team will also cost them life points, and first one to lose all their life points loses. Again, games are quick, and it's a good way to practice new heroes, albeit it's not an accurate representation of how they will play in an actual full game. But it's a good starting point. Another game mode we can consider looking at would be League of Legends ARAM, or All Random All Mid. There is only one lane with one lane of creeps, and two teams just duke it out and push the enemy towers to the enemy nexus. Of course, this would be adjusted to better suit Deadlock systems, but you get where I'm going with this, hopefully. Next, I know I shouldn't say this and we've been burned with this before, but hear me out. PvE. Think about it. We already have towers, walkers, and patrons, but imagine facing multiple of them at the same time. Some of them could even have different versions of each other with different attacks, mechanics, and difficulty. Yeah, and put all the creeps there, because you need some little minions. The movement in Deadlock is already too fun to mess around with and use, so it can either be used in the default map or a new map that really forces a player to improve their movement if they want. Going back to PvE, it can be really flexible. Imagine a horde mode where you have to defend a point against creeps, towers, walkers, and patrons. Or the opposite, where you have to push enemies to the enemy base and fight a huge boss at the end. Imagine a roguelike mode where when you level up or clear an area, you get buffs and items to improve your character. Yeah, the possibilities are endless. I don't really know where I'm going with this. Valve doesn't even have to do it themselves. They can just let the player base create new game modes with workshop support for custom game modes. I think I've already seen surf maps where you use Viscous. Do more of that. Of course, these are just examples and Valve could just make something new that is completely unique, but still falls under the umbrella of quick games for people who want a quick game and leave right after so they can squeeze some time to rub one out. Valve has made a great system with Deadlock that can be built upon, and I do hope that they could expand the game moving forward, although I would not be expecting them to do anything new for a while, as they should be polishing the game further until it is ready for their full release. If they do decide to do something huge, like let's say add PvE into the mix to expand their lore, as their setting and characters are interesting. I mean, look at Lash's lore. They should be careful and try not to do too much and risk the game altogether, unlike a certain company. But they are known to take their time and they will make sure that what they put out is nothing but amazing. Valve, please put game modes that won't take longer than my will to live. Thanks for watching. I'm out.